Hey, everybody, we're live at the Paste Studio in New York with Ron Pope. Ron Pope, welcome back, man. It's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me. I'm very glad to be back. Feels good to be here. I'm going to play some new songs, as you know. I've got some new songs. I've got a brand new record coming out. It's called Bone Structure, and it comes out March the 6th. And the whole record is stories. I'm speaking to my daughter, and so it's either me speaking directly to her about my experience being her father so far, or telling some story from my own life that has some kind of moral or a lesson. And so the first song I'm going to play is called Wait and See. And I had the idea for this song like for a long time, but I never could explain it the way that I wanted to. I never could get the lyrics quite right. But when you're a little kid, people are always like, they say to children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I've always thought that was like sort of absurd because it's like as if people believe that there's some kind of straight line from saying, oh, I want to be a doctor when I grow up, to standing at your medical school graduation holding the diploma. And I just, like, adults know that that's not real. You know, everybody takes these kind of circuitous paths. We all meander to where we're going. We change our minds. We turn around. And so I wrote this song about my cousin and I. We left home at the same time. We're the same age. And I went off to make music, figuring, you know, we'd drive around the country in our van for 6 months or a year, and somebody would discover us, and, you know, then our lives would change, because that's when people got discovered still. So I figured, you know, the internet, you know, didn't exist. Somebody would just find us, and then they would make us famous. But that's not what happened. Obviously, my career, you know, it took a long time. We built a fan base one person at a time, and you know, it was very different than what I expected. Obviously, it's been wonderful, but it wasn't what I thought would happen. And my cousin went off and he signed up for the Marine Corps during peacetime. But then his first day of boot camp was September 11th, 2001. Yeah, pretty unbelievable. It's like a scene from a movie. It's like astonishing, and so it, you know, fundamentally altered his path in life. And so I think if you asked each of us when we left home, if you told us what was going to happen to us and how we would get to this point in our lives, I don't think either of us would believe you. But that's okay. It's okay to get lost. It's okay to find your way and figure it out. And that's what this song is about. You know, each of us finding our way, and the notion that, like, that's fine, and, like, we're all going to get where we're going eventually, and everybody's, you know, nobody's made it. Everybody's just making it every day. And so this is a song about that. It's called Wait and See. Working girls, cursing teenage Marines, till the TJ police came and broke up the scene. Damn the stars, they seem brighter down here. Haven't looked up in years since I left where I'm from. Remembering St. Augustine wasn't quite 23, with a bag full of secrets in a maze of concrete. And a busted lip I came by. Honestly, what will become of me? I guess we'll just wait and see. Headed south, Ensenadas again, carried slow by the wind, broke as I've ever been, buried deep. All the beauty I keep, drank tequila so cheap that they should have paid me. Then I woke up alone with my hand on the phone and nobody to call, chased all this away by my chemistry. What will become of me? I guess we'll just wait and see. Come down off the cross. Sometimes we all get lost. I'm so sick of myself. Can't afford what it costs to be drowned in a sea of my memory. What will become of me? I guess we'll just wait and see. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ron. I love that line. Tequila's so cheap, they should have paid me. That's an outstanding lyric. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's
man.
very true.
Thank you for sharing it with us today. And so you talked a bit about this album being a collection of stories, experiences for your daughter. But in addition to that, I read that you said this. I believe that it's most likely true that it's a sonic journey through what's been important to you, that you wanted to share some of the bands, some of the sounds that have been important to you over the years. And I quietly, before the session, stacked up 4 tapes right there, which I hope are going to be important to you. There's George Jones sitting on the bottom of a pile.
Okay.
Bruce Springsteen sitting above that.
Oh my goodness.
The Rolling Thunder Review above that.
Oh my God.
And then Maybelle Carter from 1963.
Oh my goodness. So that's like pretty much like you got like my DNA right there. That's most of it. Where
That's
are
what
these?
that
Right
pile
there?
is on top of that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
Those are the original documents of those performances. Yeah.
Wow. Goodness gracious. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. What's on this George Jones?
I think that's the bottom line here.
Oh,
in
at
this,
the bottom line, like a live show.
from 1980. Yeah,
like
that's the only connection between all of everything in this room is live performance.
Yeah, like the legend of Bruce Springsteen at the bottom line is like something else. Like
Well, the Springsteen one is in Passaic, New Jersey. That's the Capitol Theater, 1978.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I know but Bruce, like dancing across the tables at the bottom line is like, a legendary Bruce moment. That's so cool. That's such an interesting thing. Yeah, and so, for me, I think it's hard for people to imagine, I guess, that don't care about music as much as I do. That like how broad musicians' taste can be. For me, the early George Jones, the White Lightning and such, like those kinds of recordings, like that stuff is really a significant part of my makeup, because it's pretty, it's pretty loose and it's pretty fast, and it's like, a bunch of like great players in a band really, kind of just like kicking ass, and it's like the most fun bar band you ever heard. Although I heard that session was miserable and that he was like really, really drunk and very depressed.
Well, dude, that tape right there, the banter in between songs is like almost unintelligible, but then when he goes into the songs, they sound outstanding.
Yeah, there's George Jones
themselves, but then when he's chatting, it's
But so for me, it's like, to me, that George Jones, like that early George Jones stuff is like just as significant as like Stevie Wonder is a very different but very important influence. Like, or for me, like Steve Cropper or Jimmy Johnson, like playing guitar on these, or Duane Allman on these like classic soul recordings, like that stuff is really significant. Like much of the way that I play lead guitar really stems from like the way that Cropper is playing all the time. It's like deceptive. It's like kind of rhythm guitar playing. He's doing a lot of like pieces of chords and stuff. It's not like showy. It's just like serving the song. So like Sam and Dave is very important. And so are Carter Family recordings, and so are like the Temptations, and so and like lighter fare and contemporary fare from my childhood. It's like, the first CD I ever bought was Boyz II Men's 2. Like, and I feel like a lot of people like don't want to sound uncool by saying like they bought a Tupac record, but like if you were 12 years old in 1995, as I was, like you did buy a Tupac record and you loved it and it meant a lot to you. I mean, it meant a lot to me.
I did the exact same. I was 13 in 1995. Yeah. I owned that CD as well.
Mm-hmm. And like, I think sometimes it's easy for, kind of like, people like me with like a roots, whatever rock kind of background to be like, yeah, man, it's like listening to those Eddie Rabbitt records as a kid and like, that's it. I'm like, no, you weren't just listening to that. Like, you got a Keith Sweat record. Don't play like you didn't have a Keith Sweat CD in your house. And so for me, it's like, it's broad, like I love music and I have always loved music. And so, and all of those things are important. Like, Bruce Springsteen is very important to me, but like the Wu-Tang Clan was also very important to me, and like I love music and I have always loved music so much that like I think like I don't like the idea of like guilty pleasures or anything like that. Like to me, if Bob Dylan meant a lot to you as he did to me, like, well, that's important, but like, Whitney Houston was also very important to me, and that's okay. Like it's okay to love a variety of things, and all that stuff is mixed together, and like that's how you get, it's like anybody. We're all made of like a whole bunch of different things. Musicians generally love music, and we all kind of have like, most people that I know have pretty varied taste. And so, sometimes you'll walk in and the guitar player's, playing an Ozzy riff, and another time you're going to walk in and they're playing, like Monk or something. And you're like, oh, all right, man. Like, we take everything around us and we synthesize it and we create something new, and I think that's like kind of the most beautiful part about music. Like we're all made up of all of this different stuff.
Nice. Well, dude, thank you for sharing that, and amen to all of that. And I'm a fan of the way that you've synthesized all of those things. I'm a fan of your music, and we're about to hear a lot more of it. You're doing
yes. Let's see. We'll see where we end up.
A few more off of Bone Structure. What's coming up next?
So I would like to play. This is the first song that I ended up writing for this album, I believe. It's the first song I wrote for my daughter after she was born. It's called My Wildest Dreams. And in the immediate aftermath of her birth, like right after she was born, I just kind of stopped writing songs. And at first I chalked it up to just being like exhausted and, learning how to parent a newborn, because nobody was, I wasn't ever like handed a newborn before they handed me my own. Nobody was like, here, you want to change this baby? Like in general, that like people don't see me and think that's a guy that knows how to change a newborn, And so, it wasn't like people were having me do that before I had my own. And so it's just like, it's an incredibly challenging time. You're learning to do all these things. And so I stopped writing songs, and I always write a lot of songs. So it was pretty striking that I wasn't writing any songs at all. And eventually I decided to sit down and try to write a song just about what was happening in my life, because I couldn't write about anything. And so it's very, very hard. Like, I'm not generally a topical songwriter. I don't generally sit down with an idea about writing, about something in particular. But I sat down with the notion that I should write about what was happening in my life, because I felt like that would make sense. And it was very, very, very hard. Like, I wrote a bunch of songs that were terrible to start with, because it's just so emotional. And I don't generally like to write about stuff while it's happening to me. Like, generally I write about it with some distance later on. But this was a thing. I was like, I got to do it now. And I sat down and I wrote a lot of songs until I got to the point where I synthesized the thing. Like, I distilled it to the point where I could explain what it felt like to feel like an imperfect person that was handed this beautiful, perfect thing. It's like I had lived my whole life and was not always the best version of myself, certainly. And now they handed me this child, and I was like, I want to recognize that I have not always been what I hoped that I would. I was not maybe as good as I could have been, or as kind, or, I made a lot, any number of mistakes until this moment. But now I'm going to do my best because I was handed this beautiful, perfect thing, and it felt like I had to honor that. And so that's, kind of, it's like my whole life is in this song. And, it's written, it's like the most significant thing that ever happened to me, obviously. And so I wrote this. It's a heavy thing to try to write about the most significant thing that's ever happened to you, and also speaking to the most important thing that's ever happened in your life. So it took a long time, but then I landed on this, and it just felt like the most honest thing I could say about it. So it's called My Wildest Dreams, and it's, again, on my new record, Bone Structure, that comes out March the 6th. I am going to keep saying that, by the way. That's part of the gig, right?
Me too, man. Yeah, I'll repeat it a few more times.
That's part of the gig. My publicist is not on the screen, but she just gave me 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. So, but yeah, this is like the, now back to the very emotional stuff. Now that I've explained that. So this is called My Wildest Dreams. I find that now I'm always listening. God knows I used to talk so much. The ocean doesn't need the sailor. The sky was there before the doves. I spoke in riddles and in rhymes, but my time with you has taught me to simplify. You're not quite what I pictured you would be. You're better than my wildest dreams. I won't leave you when you're sleeping. I will be here when you wake. 'Cause I got ghosts and I've got demons, but they will not chase me away. 'Cause I've been waiting all my life for some reason I never could describe. You're not quite what I pictured you would be. You're better than my wildest dreams. Ooh, ooh. I'm not sure what I could give you. Whatever's mine is yours to take. 'Cause I have never been a teacher, but let's both learn from my mistakes. 'Cause it has taken me so long to surrender what I hope no one could see. You're not quite what I pictured you would be. You're better than my wildest dreams. You're not quite what I pictured you would be. You're better than my wildest dreams. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Ron. We got a chance to talk a little bit offline before this started about the studios in which this the album came to fruition, the people that you worked with as well, and it sounded like it was a really an organic path. Things opened up, and you. It sounded like an outstanding experience that you had. Can you talk a bit about what that looked like?
Well, so we were working on this record for quite a while. I was recording a lot of kind of fun music, like there's horns in my band, and we had been on tour a bunch, and so I was recording a lot more kind of like the up-tempo, energetic, horn-driven stuff that I do, and a lot more like lighter subject matter. I just been on the road playing shows, and they were fun. It's fun to get on stage with the gang, and so I kind of I was writing very much in that spirit, and so we started recording a lot of that, kind of stuff, and we were working on it for a long time, and then I was in London, and I got out of a car, and then kind of immediately after I got out of that car, the car drove 20 feet down the road, and then two masked men attacked the guy in the car, the driver. It was crazy. It was like really scary. We didn't know what was going on. He called me. He was very afraid. I was very afraid. We didn't know what was happening. And we had our baby with us. So it was just like a very scary experience. Obviously, like, it's one thing to be afraid for yourself, and it's another thing entirely to be afraid for your children. You know, it's a different world of fear that I had never known before. And it was so surprising. Like, you know, my life now is so like relaxed and like grown up, you know, like, you know, if I got attacked, 10 years ago or something, people would be like, well, you know, guy's a little nuts. That makes sense. But I'm just like doing regular dad stuff now. You know, I'm not out in the world where you could get in that kind of trouble. And so it was really, really scary, honestly. And it started to make me think, like, what happens if I'm not here to tell her all this stuff when she grows up? And it was really, really striking. Like, I can't tell you how scary it was. And so that's really where I got the idea of, like, well, maybe I should take, you know, I'd already written my Wildest Dreams, and I was like, well, maybe I should try to change directions and explain some of these things to, like, write for my daughter and tell her some of this stuff that I think might be of value to her one day. And like I said, since I'm not really a topical songwriter, I generally don't sort of sit down with an idea of like, oh, I want to say this thing, let me write a song about it. It was incredibly challenging. It took me so much longer to get it all together. And you know, I wrote a lot of songs that were like more like therapeutic exercises than actual songs. It took a long time to like get at the heart of the thing and like distill this, and also to figure out what to talk about. Because like I said, I mean, my path to this moment was not so clean, and so it was like, what do you say to your children about the world? You know, imagining that you're speaking to them as adults and you're not here. And that was a really powerful thing that I've never really tried anything like that before. You know, and I mean, people say this, but like, I've never loved anything like that before also. So I'm trying to talk to this incredibly significant part of my life and explain like how I view the world. And it was really very challenging. And so we'd been working at this place. My friend Paul Moak has a studio in Nashville called Smokestack. And through another friend named Justin Glasgow, Justin suggested our studio got canceled. It was a big mess. So when we first started making the record, we went to Paul's place. He hooked us up. We started working there. It was wonderful. It's got an incredible spot. And so we were working in Paul's place for a little while. And then when we changed directions, we just kind of kept working there because we were so comfortable. And Paul and Zach and the guys on his team were so good to us. It was such a wonderful experience that we kept working there. And I brought in two of my closest friends in the world, Zach Berkman and Paul Hammer, who are both engineers and multi-instrumentalists. They came in and worked on the record with us. And Blair, who is my manager and runs the label and is my wife, exec produced the record and was very, very involved in the workshopping of the songs, the arranging, like a lot of stuff. And she tries to not take credit for this because she's like, I'm not a musician. I'm like, well, you're shaping everything that we're doing and you're giving advice constantly.
Right now. She's in this room right now.
Oh, she's here. Yay. Yeah, we like her. It's true. She hates when we do this. It's so funny, I think, being a manager. And I mean, usually she has a microphone when you do these things. But I feel like when you're in charge in the way that she is, it's like you get none of the accolades and all of the blame, and like everybody like constantly heaps praise on me for stuff that I have nothing to do with. They're like, oh, this is an incredible music video. I'm like, I don't know, I just showed up, like I didn't make this. It was her idea and I don't know how to work a camera, and so it's like I just kind of showed up. I was there. They're like, well, your hair looked nice or something. I'm like, thanks. So it's a fascinating thing to like. This is, we're very much a family business. Like we own a label. It's called Brooklyn Basement Records, and she runs it, and I kind of show up there. I have a coffee mug there, so I kind of work there, I guess, nominally. And the label is a family business. We started this thing because we wanted to make art that we believed in, and we wanted to help other people make art that we believed in and that they believed in. And so it's been interesting to find this. We don't like there's no like clear division of labor. I think like in other places it's like this is the business and this is the music and never the two shall meet. And for us, like our lives are integrated, so everything that we do is together. And so for this, it was an interesting process to, I think, for me certainly. She's shaking her head yes, so that's good. It was an interesting process for me that like we were working on this project that was so intimate and so personal to our family. And, it's also a part of our business. It's, it's all integrated. Everything's in one pot, at our house. They tell you not to put all your eggs in one basket. Well, all of our eggs are very close together in one basket, and they mix together. It's so it's fascinating. And so then we went to Memphis and we mixed the record with Matt Ross Spang, who's incredible and has done all kinds of things and won all kinds of Grammys and is a superhero and is the nicest guy and is super dialed in on the best barbecue in the city. So He's really got it all working. And he works at Sam Phillips recording where Sam moved after he left Sun. So it's this incredible historic studio, and like Sam's desk is still there and stuff. And it's a really special place to get to work, not just because of the barbecue, but because of Matt and the history. And so, Sam,
at least 50% the barbecue.
I'd say 75% the barbecue. The rest of it is kind of just background noise, honestly. But no, I love Matt. Matt's really wonderful, and he's a great friend and an incredible, like, when you're working on something like this where it's so personal, it gets pretty heady. Like, I've really never made anything like this before. It's like the most intimate, most personal record that I've ever created. Like, imagine speaking to your children from beyond the grave. Like, that's the idea of it sounds very heavy, and and some of the music is very fun. Like, it's not all so heavy, but it definitely, the idea for the record, the concept is very heavy. And so Matt was like my spirit guide through this process, like, helping me recognize that we're just making a record the same as we always do, and we just have to make it beautiful. And like the fun stuff's got to sound fun, the pretty stuff's got to sound pretty, just like every other record that you've ever made. And so that helped. And he's made so many records that I like so much. He made a great Nikki Bloom record that like Nikki sang all over this album and is a friend of mine. And she's like, every time she opens her mouth, you're like, wow, this sounds better. What did you do? Like, she's like made of magic. And so Matt makes a lot of, Margot Price and like a lot of stuff that we dig. And so it was cool to get to work with him. And he's like the nicest, most wonderful person. So it was really, I can't say enough good about him. And going to Memphis is rad because, there's like a certain kind of, I think a lot of musicians, because so much comes from there, B.B. King and Elvis and everything from Sun, and like there's so much blues history there. There's rockabilly and the big origins of rock and roll and country music, and there's so much stuff. I mean, Al Green is still making records down there. It's like in the water or something, man. And so it's cool to get to go there and get to take a sip, and like show up and hang out a little bit and feel the energy. And Matt's very dialed into that world, so it was cool to get to do that. And I think it helped me bringing him in later on in the process helped me to like. He hadn't been working on the record for whatever year and a half or whatever we'd been doing. And so he was able to bring a fresh set of ears and, take us to the finish line, really. And so that was an incredible blessing. He is a master at what he does, and I love him. So, nice. So that's how we made the record. All I had to do was start fearing for my life, and then it just changed everything in my world.
Nice. Well, dude, I'm glad that you conceived of it and then had the tenacity to see the entire thing through. That is a huge, heavy project, and all of those experiences along the way sounded absolutely outstanding. And here it is. You're sharing it with us today.
I am.
Is there? There's a third off of Bone Structure.
Yeah. So this is. I will play you a song. This is off Bone Structure. This is one that's not out. This song is not out yet. We've released a few singles. This isn't one of them. This is a brand new song that people haven't heard yet. And so it's called She's Good. And this is a story about a time in my life when I was out on the road a lot. Like I'd left home with the intention of, being a musician. And I was just like, more so than being a musician, I think my real goal was just like to find the purpose of my life. And that's why I was traveling around. Like I wanted to make music, certainly, but I was also hoping to find the meaning of my life and my purpose. And that was, I hoped that it was music, and that's why I was out playing. But I was just out seeking, I was seeking everything. I wanted to experience everything. I was like, from a medium-sized, very regular town, outside of Georgia. Like that's where I went to high school. And so it was, I was, out very actively seeking. And so I met a lot of other seekers as I was traveling. And so this song is about one of them in particular. But it really could be about any of the people that I knew, and maybe it's like broadly about all of the people that I met at that time in my life when I was out trying to figure out what the point was. And so this is called She's Good, and it's from Bone Structure, and it comes out March 6th. I'm gonna keep saying it. There you go. Leather jacket, trip to Colorado, drinking from the bottle, don't wanna waste the glass. In the morning, I pray she'll still be with me, like the remnants of this whiskey, she'll keep clouding up my mind. She wrote letters to the orphanage the year that she aged out. Came to town to pass the weekend and then never turned around. I was 16 and a half years old, did what she said I should. Yeah, she's good. I kept wandering, singing about my mother, trying to call my brother, leaving messages at home. Despite my blessings, I felt hemmed in by the city, like a bird trapped in a chimney, always crashing into walls. And when I got back home to Georgia, she was nowhere to be found, till she sat right down beside me and said I should buy the next round. I would cry, but I think first things first, I'll probably knock on wood. Yeah, she's good. And she don't wanna need anything like me. But now she's laughing, saying I'm so simple. My fingers trace a dimple on the right side of her spine. Her Christian kindness ran out of gas in Memphis, but her wanderlust is endless, so she kept on down the road. And I don't think that either one of us is ever going home. And I know enough about her to be sure there's things I'll never know. I can't tell you how this ends, but bet you that she could. Yeah, she's good. It's true. She's good. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, man. Dude, thank you for doing this. And
I'm so glad
you
to be
just recently wrapped the U.S. leg of the tour. There's a one show at 3rd and Lindsley in
That's
Nashville.
not true, right?
Yeah, no, there is. It's WMOT.
Oh, cool. All right, it turns out that there is a show. Because one of my friends was like, oh, I'm missing you playing again in February. And I was like, no, you're not, dude. No, you're not. But it turns out I am. So I am playing at 3rd and Lindsley for WMOT. Is this where they... Finally Friday. I forgot. They moved it there. I see. So, yes, we are doing that. I'm sorry. Last time I saw Finally Friday, it was somewhere else. That's why I was confused.
And then after that, there Europe and UK in the second half of April with, I think all of those shows are with Emily Scott Robinson.
Oh, who is just amazing. What a songwriter. What a voice. Emily sings. There's the only song that I co-wrote on the whole record, because obviously the record is so personal. I wrote all the songs myself, except for one called Take the Edge Off. And Emily and I were sitting and talking about experiences when we knew that we would be better off if we stopped seeing someone, but it was so hard to say goodbye because it's easier to not, and it's heartbreaking to do it. And so we wrote a song together, and Emily sings on the record. And I can't say enough good about it. I mean, her own songs are incredible. I listen to her constantly, Overalls and The Dress and something Better with Time. There's so many incredible songs. I just think she's like a wizard. I can't believe that I'm not opening for her. She's such a talent. So I'm very excited to have Emily on the road with me. And she's like a dear friend of mine now as well. So it'll be fun to get to spend time with her. I can't say enough. We adore her.
Nice. Dude.
That's the royal we. We in my house. Those of us in my home.
Dude, this has been outstanding.
So much fun. I really love doing this. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
really
come back and visit us anytime
I
that
will.
it makes sense for you. The tour details up at ronpopemusic.com. Bone Structure, my turn. Bone Structure comes out March 6th on your own label on Brooklyn Basement Records.
Yeah, for the people in the back, March 6th. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you all for listening to us. I had a wonderful time today, so thanks for having me.